Oh, we're on camera. There we are.
Hello.
I was saying goodbye to David Murphy, and all of a sudden I looked up and I'm like, oh, there's my face on a screen again for a change today. My face has been on that screen for quite some time. We're going almost on 10 hours. It has been an amazing day, and although this is the last session, in many ways it is the most important session, because all of today and Print Across America was dedicated to really fostering engagements with students, sharing all of the amazing opportunities, career opportunities that there are in the printing industry. And I am thrilled to have, as the guest for the final conversation here today, we have Marilee Hutton Clark, who I've mentioned a million times today. She is a concierge recruiter for the printing industry at Inkwell Collaborative. If it weren't for Marilee, all of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students today who have gone to open houses at print shops, it would not have happened. I just want to thank you so much for really taking on that challenge and making it happen. And we're going to talk, I use the word challenge very purposefully there. The other person who this event would not be possible is Harvey Levenson. I don't want to cry, but he's someone who makes me cry too. He's the professor emeritus at California Polytechnic State University. Also, we all know it as Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. He's also an advisor for the Graphic Communications Advisors Group. Harvey, for some reason, decided that this was going to be an initiative that he supported. And when I said decided, Harvey is a sought after man. He's got many, many, many contacts in the upper echelons of the printing industry that I will never dare to fly like Icarus and get my wings burned. But Harvey contacted me and wanted to know what he could do to help. And he went through his little black book and he got us all, everybody in the Printerverse, the initial support, some financial support that enabled me to move forward and get more financial support. And so we could produce this entire event. Harvey, no one has ever helped me like that, ever in the printing industry. And I just want to say thank you so much. Marilee, too. No one has ever helped me as much as both of you. So this session is very important to me for that, but it is also important to me because education is if without doing something about funding these programs, getting students into these programs, and then figuring out how to get them into the industry and identifying why they're not coming is really going to be the thing that is going to make or break us moving forward. So, Marilee, I'd like to start with you because you really have had the most recent conversations with the educators. So why don't you just tell everybody how we went about matching everybody and some of the things you've learned along the way?
My pleasure. First of all, Deborah, wow. Wow, what a day. It has been a fabulous journey, and I've been grateful to be able to be part of it. My name is Marilee Hutton Clark. Again, I have had the pleasure of being in the print industry for over 30 years. I was a general manager out of Denver running a large plant facility, and then a VP of sales with 110 sales teams that I coached. And a passion of mine became looking at the next generation and saying, how are we ever going to get them to be interested in the print industry? How are we attracting them? And helping printers really do a better job of recruiting, training, and onboarding this next generation. And so Deborah said, Marilee, I think you should do this. And I'm like, I'm in. And here's what my project was. I would find there would be printers who were interested in hosting open houses, and I would find the students to go to those open houses. So it has been an amazing journey working with all of these different educators, all these different colleges with hundreds of students. And what I learned, I want to share. Number one, that 52 to 52 to 86% of the graduates in the graphic communications and graphic design programs are female. So that was a new number for me. I thought, okay, I'm just going to give you some facts and I'm going to kind of walk you through what I learned after that. In these graphic programs, some of them are thriving and unfortunately some of them are shutting down. And when you speak to some of the educators who were like, one had actually signed up and wanted to go, and he said, we are pulling funding. And I was like, can you tell me more about the pulling funding? And he went into this whole information about we don't have enough commitment from people out in the industry to help us. We can't even find anyone to help talk to us about pre-press. And it just broke my heart. Because as a GM, I thought to myself, I could have done a better job of helping pull these educators in and say, let's help you, grow. We want to be able to do whatever we can to support you. So again, the degrees are varied. They're from 2 to 4 years, and they're very different as far as, again, the communications on, what was within the degree. Is it heavier communications? Is it heavier design? And so forth. Then some of the other information that we got was that when they did go to these shows, or they go to tours, they were never very happy with them. So, what came out of it is the following. As I gave you the stat of 56 to 86% of the graduates of these degrees are women. One of the educators said to me, Marilee, the challenge is going to be for you to recruit these women. And I was like, wow, being someone in the business for 30 years, I was like, okay, explain. And she said, first and foremost, you walk into a tour and what do you see? All men. We don't see many women in leadership roles within the manufacturing, within the printing. And so if they, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, if they're not seeing people that are like them, they're not going to be attracted to the business. And so that was the first step. She was like, number one. And then as I spoke to more educators, because my role was to interview these different educators and find out, what do we need to do to provide a great, stellar tour? What have you experienced in the past? What have you liked? What can I make sure that I coach the printers to make sure that they are making an epic tour? And the next thing was, have you ever walked into a print shop, Marilee, where frankly, it's just dirty, dingy? Frankly, that's what we're seeing. There's a lot of times that we walk into these tours and we see a facility that's lacking in energy. There's no graphics on the wall. What do you do for a living? The spaces are dirty and dingy. And frankly, the people that are working look unhappy. And so, there's like a major come to Jesus moment where you're looking in the mirror going, what does my facility look like? And, we talked a little bit about bringing people from the outside and having them actually walk, because, fresh eyes are really great. And a customer can do that better than anyone. I'm like, well, have you had a tour lately? Well, yes. I said, we'll speak to that company and ask, how did you do? Did you do a great job? What stood out to you? What could have we improved on the tour? And so as we continued this conversation, it was really more about the diversity. It was about the way that the spaces look, about the way the people look like they were engaging, and, really the lack of communications. And usually was just the leader. And I think that was the other thing we really learned. And, when I look at all of these different tours that are going on, I'm like, every department needs to speak about what was their degree and how did they come to be in the print industry, and make it be tangible for these students instead of just the CEO, just the GM speaking. And that's really been transitional for these tours, because the CEO oftentimes, or, there's been some other comments regarding that there was commentary where it's a dismissal of their education. You could have come straight to us and we would have taught you everything that you wanted to, everything you needed to learn. And you can even imagine, that, is pretty sad. I guess, how am I doing, Deborah? What else have I missed?
I think that part of it is the fact that you reached out. Schools, either a school signed up or a printer signed up, and then you were trying to create these relationships. And when it came to the school, we actually had in our questionnaire, are there any printers that you'd like to meet in your area? And I can't tell you, crickets. They know no printers in their area. So I would say that that is a missed opportunity. And the same thing with the printers. This is the first time these universities who are less than a half a mile from their half an hour from their facilities are coming over. I mean, to us now, it's like, what have you people been doing? How do you think you're going to get workers if you're not actively engaged with the programs? And I'd like to bring Harvey into the conversation about that. I can tell you that Cal Poly was one of those areas, was one of the things that we were like, are there no relationships with printers over there? Please.
Okay, first I want to say I am absolutely awestruck by this program. You have exceeded my expectations. When I tuned in, I missed the first couple of sessions because it was 7 o'clock in the morning here in California, and I had to take care of some morning business. And then I tuned in, figure I'll watch a little bit and then come on when I'm on. I watched the whole thing. And this was absolutely one of the best conferences I ever attended. I mean, incredible. It answered a few questions that I had about some description differences that we can talk about later about what the industry is. But I congratulate you. This is unbelievable. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, basically, Cal Poly has a major graphic communication program. They used to call it printing. It started as a printing engineering program, then graphic arts, then it evolved to graphic communication. But we're in a community. San Luis Obispo is a relatively small community, while we have a major program that focused on printing since 1946. Okay.
Wow.
There are just not, many printing facilities in this area. So, and another interesting thing about Cal Poly, it's a part of this state university system with 23 campuses, and Cal Poly is the only national one. The others are all regional ones. So the industry that we serve is national, not local, And when it comes to recruiting, we have, the university has 2 or 3 career days a year, and we attract printers and related companies, pre-press, OEMs, and this sort of thing from all over the country. And I do want to, preface a little what else I'm going to be saying is that I am emeritus. Okay, I became emeritus. I retired from Cal Poly in 2013, though I'm still involved behind the scenes. But I have not retired from the printing industry. I've been very involved. Have my own expert witness practice, so I'm in touch with what's going on, in the field.
So I agree with you, Harvey. I didn't mean to necessarily point out that you specifically Cal Poly wasn't having this relationship. I think it's a pattern that Marilee and I discovered. And when you just look at such a prestigious program like Cal Poly, you would think that printers would be flying in to talk to those students and really engage with them. Now, we learned some very interesting things about there's a knowledge gap between what's being taught in the programs and the world as printing is manifesting today. Now, I don't want that to come across as some sort of dig on the educators. It's not. I feel the entire industry is at fault here. We hear so many times that there's a software company and they want to give a school a software, and the school's like, what am I supposed to run it on? We don't have anything. You want to give $500 scholarships. You want to take some people to a print show to grab some samples, but that is not going to help them understand the multi-channel world that is now going on in the print shop. We still literally need people who can do hands-on jobs. There are screen printers and die cutters and finishing processes that are not going to be automated anytime soon in a grand scale. And there are also smaller print shops that really need to have workers come in or be able to at least attract these students from these programs. But there just seems to be such a disconnect in the curriculum as well. So Marilee, I see you nodding, so please chime in, but then
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from Harvey on that too.
I would love to speak to that. There's a couple thoughts that went through when I was speaking to the educators, and they said, we're having a hard time explaining how their degrees are going to play within the print industry. So literally, when you go through each department, help them understand what was the degree that they came from, what was their education, and how did that play within the bigger picture. And that was really helpful, because I know, again, that was a miss in some of those. And it's a real life experience, right? Like, if it's a difference between being able to go and talk about it and have a great educator giving them the great information, but until you visually see something, can you connect the dots? So we connected the dots a lot on that. The other part was, again, just the knocking on the door. It surprised me that the educators were having a struggle with getting printers to come in and speak. And so, one of my passions now is I look at it and I'm like, okay, they're right down the street. And one of the ways, it was several touch points to get people to convert, i.e. educators to respond to my emails, as well as sometimes printers to respond to my emails. And I was like, what? Come on, I've got students. Let's do this, right? But what my message was, that you need to have these relationships with our next generation. They want you to come into the classroom and be able to speak to what's going on in the industry. They want to come on these tours. And, one of my great things that I've been watching on LinkedIn today is one of the tours, the college asked to come back already because they said, we ran out of time. We want to go see X, Y, and Z. And it was like, yes, this is the connection that we wanted to make. So Deborah, it was like the home run moment. I'm like,
Wow.
yes.
I'm just excited that you saw tours on LinkedIn. I haven't been online, but rumor has it that there's people sharing about that. Makes me so happy. So Harvey, how do we get the industry more invested in showing up for the students and really ushering them into the industry correctly?
Well, one observation that I've made, I was at Cal Poly for 30 years, okay? And before that, 7 years at LaRoche College, now LaRoche University in Pittsburgh. So I've interacted with, professors and administrators from colleges and universities all over the world, actually, over the years. And one thing that I've observed is that they don't know how to market their programs to the industry. One rule that I always imposed upon myself that I share with others is that whenever you ask someone for something, make sure there's more in for them than for you. Okay.
Interesting.
And I've learned how to actually educate the potential employers of our students as to what they're learning, what skills they have, what knowledge base they have, how they understand the present and the future of the industry, and how they could help you achieve your long-range plans, your objectives. And you would be surprised that once you start talking, using the rhetoric that the industry understands, so giving them something that they want, how they sit and listen and they respond. But the overriding philosophy here is, whenever you want something from someone, make sure there's more in it for them than for you. And that's the approach I've always taken and never deviated from that, and have been highly successful in meeting our goals in the 2 universities that I've worked for.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. There's also, a real opportunity for companies out there to say, look, we're a finishing company. We need people to learn our equipment. So we're going to have a finishing field trip, and we will send some students to a demo center, or we will, I mean, you can't like cart finishing equipment to people, but there's certainly some around they can get you to somewhere. I don't think you saw the session, Harvey, because it was my session. It was the first thing you were
Yeah.
probably you're having your bagel and coffee in the morning. But I announced my plan, which we have discussed, to create the media kit for print that will go to the high school guidance counselors, that will go to help the graphic communication programs, the technical schools, the vocational schools recruit, that will help the industry explain all the jobs that are out there, because there is not one comprehensive and cool, which is the most important thing, way of doing that. Right now, it's all compartmentalized. To your most excellent point, what's in it for me? I'm only going to focus on the needs of my company. I'm not going to worry about the needs of the industry. And I think if anything, that print across America today proved that this need is not just national, it's global, which is why we're going print across the planet next year, which everyone calm down. I know I have lofty goals, but the media kit for print, I think its time has come, and it will contain local, regional, national information about the demographics of the industry and all the jobs and all the companies that people can apply to, and show what life is like in the printing industry, which is not, to Marilee's excellent point, mopey and dirty like some of those print shops might. Even though it's outwardly appearing that way, they are still producing amazing communications and changing the world with technology and with applications. And that is just something that we really need to focus on. I wrote an article for my website about how we need to change the perception of print. And I used to work at Deutsche Advertising, and Donnie Deutsch is now a talking head on television, but he is a brilliant branding guy. And what he said really resonated with me. He said that the Eiffel Tower was just a lamppost with really great PR. And ever since he said that, I was like, that is the printing industry. We are a lamppost, but if we had really great PR, we could be the Eiffel Tower, because we have the goods. So we're going to wrap this up. So Harvey, last words, and then we'll go to Marilee for last words.
Well, I think the media kit is a very good idea. However, I think that it needs to get to more than the advisors at the schools. It needs to get to the prospective students, and it needs to get to their parents, and it needs to get to the instructors in the programs. Now, the goal needs to be to make the public understand that the printing industry is not what it used to be. And, you and I have had this discussion about the way we describe the industry, the terms that we use. And I keep saying, stay away from craft, trade, shop, and this sort of thing, because it provides an image of what the industry used to be. You talk about science, you talk about being a profession, you talk about how STEM is involved, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how the contemporary science, you even said in one of your sessions, Deborah, which is, I applaud you for this, you said that for those who are interested in chemistry, this industry is for you. Well, I'll add physics, I'll add rheology, I'll add digital imaging, digital technology and this sort of thing, and I'll add computer science. If you're interested in any of these areas, the printing industry is for you, and here is why.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And yes, I'm so glad that you have adopted my lofty goals, Harvey. But if we could get a media kit into everybody's hands, I agree with you wholeheartedly that it is a boots on the ground, all hands on deck moment for the printing industry, or we can go robotics. That's fine with me too. You want to be an Amazon warehouse and have robots doing all that stuff? Fantastic. But we have to, there's still people that have to operate the robots, program the robots, understand what the robots need to do in the printing industry, so humans aren't going away anytime soon. Once again, Harvey, thank you so much for everything you've done for me, for this event, and for the industry. Marilee, let's get some final words from you.
Yeah, so a couple of things that Harvey said. Number one, I was so surprised by the high schoolers, and I apologize. It's just more about not knowing. And there are some high school programs that are getting two-year degree, or they're called print communication certificates. And these people are coming out and they know how to run finishing. They know how to run binding. They know how to run. And so we need to run and capture them, because 20% of them go right into print. They go right into, and the other 20% go to the community college, and another 20% they say go to college, and the rest are going to, find new ways to move forward in their lives. But long story short, the other thing Harvey said was parents. I cannot believe, but I have an article that is printed in the great piece that Deborah put out for Print Across America, and it talks about Google and how Google brings their parents, people bring their parents in to have a educational day to teach them what they're doing. And frankly, Harvey nailed it. One of the other professors said, Marilee, the parents are not encouraging them to go into print because they don't see it being a viable business. So I appreciate that, Harvey, but frankly, we made a wave. We made a wave today, Deborah. I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for calling me on to be the part of the journey.
I thank you guys so much for everything. We're going to wrap up this session so we can wrap up the conference, but thank you so much. I will be back in 1 second or two with my final words on the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.